Hey, welcome to Cryptid Crunch. I am your host, Willow Schuyler. So we got quite the interesting show, and clearly we're going to be talking about nightmares. So hang on to your hats, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. Yes, it is the first Cryptid Crunch of the year. Sorry we didn't have it on New Year's Day. But I am glad to be back, and I'm sure Keisha is too. Happy New Year, Keisha.
Howdy, howdy. Happy New
Year. How's everything going on the farm?
Good. Only a couple deaths. We're good.
Oh no. Birds?
We have a mink that has taken
right.
up refuge in our barn, and we still haven't had a chance to catch it because it won't go into any of the traps or anything that we've sent for it. So it keeps offing our children. Not our actual children, our
fur
chicken
babies,
children. Yeah.
Feather babies.
Feather babies. So we had one not last night, but the night before passed away, unfortunately. So, but other than that, it's been pretty good, I guess.
And the cryptid that's growing inside you is doing well, I hope.
Yes. I'm finally to the stage of pregnancy that I can feel movement and stuff like that.
Oh.
So, when I'm laying down in bed or something like that, I just have, this gurgly feeling in my stomach, let me out! And it's trying to claw its way out now.
I have a funny story to tell about that from a dream, so...
Oh, goodness.
Good thing we're talking about dreams. And
yes.
So, with us tonight is my neighbor, Drew. Hey, Drew.
Yeah. Hi.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Irate neighbor, you admit that you actually know me. That's wild.
I love to admit that I know a lot of people, so.
Well, I'm glad I could step up and have a word to say tonight. It's a really interesting topic, and I think a lot of people actually have a lot to say on this. Individual experience varies greatly.
It's strange because, so we're going to be talking about the Boo Hag and sleep paralysis as a whole.
And fun dreams.
We'll see if we have the same connections.
Wait, you said fun? I'm on the wrong show.
Wait a second.
Okay,
some people don't find murder and stuff like that fun. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some dreams, guys.
I've had some of the weirdest vivid dreams, but usually it's okay, so I'll start off with the dream that I had years ago when I was living with one of my roommates. I dreamt that I was waiting at the bus stop and I apparently was pregnant, and the baby kept growing, and I was trying to shout out for help, and my belly kept growing, and I kept seeing the arms stretching out and the head. It was like aliens, right? Yeah.
That sounds more like Nightmare on Elm Street. The hands coming through the wall,
But yeah, and so yeah, that was one of my weird dreams. So yeah, Keisha, hearing you say that you can see the arms and feet when you're pregnant.
So, Drew, I'm not sure if you see any of the comments over to the side, but we have quite a few comments and
I
some
do
warnings.
not.
Oh, on the right side. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that.
There it is. I see it. Hi, Donna.
A ton of comments coming in,
All
and
right.
several of them are trying to warn you about this show. So,
Hi, Carl, Dan, Hollyfield. All our usual suspects are in the chat.
Eli's in there.
Eli, good to see you. And yeah, so the computer upgrades finally worked on the second try. I shouldn't have to worry about having a hard drive failure and losing years of work for quite some time. I'm glad you got
Good.
that figured out, Dan. So yeah, they do like to have their conversations, Carl, with never had this particular nightmare, but I've had short periods of not being able to move after walking. And, yeah. I found out that if I saw my dream going wrong, all I had to do was shout stop and the dream would stop. I have yet to figure that out.
Conscious dreaming.
Am I the only weirdo that, like, I will, like, be having a nightmare, okay? And I'll wake up and I'll be like, wait, I was actually kind of enjoying that. And then I go back to the
hit rewind.
And I'm like, okay, let's start off what were we doing? We were getting chased by a murderer. Okay.
Look, well, that's conscious dreaming. That's legit.
Like it's like watching a horror movie in my brain.
Hearing people who are able to do that, it strikes me as weird because I'm just like, how? Someone teach me how to do this Jedi mind trick, please.
So after years of dream journaling, like you basically force yourself to remember your dreams. So like since I dream journal, I wake up and I'm like, I know I'm not going to remember that dream till like at all in like 5 minutes. So I write down whatever jarbled nonsense my brain tells me to write down at that moment. Like I was reading through my dream journal today and stuff like that, trying to find ones that I could maybe tell you guys that weren't completely inappropriate or super gory.
Oh my, wow.
So I in my dream journal, okay guys, I'm going to show you a glimpse of my dream journal, but I was actually going through and I was checking. You see the green check mark? Let me see if
it's a blur.
Blur.
Okay, you see the green check mark right there?
Kind of. I think that's the only thing that I see that.
So I made a check mark next to the ones that were appropriate enough to talk about on air.
Very considerate, all things.
And that way I didn't accidentally read one that was like, oh, are you okay? Like, should we call somebody? Because I have lots of those.
Honestly, you guys, you should have a conscious dreaming episode at some point. It's almost the reverse of sleep paralysis, really.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy being able to go back into my dreams. Like if I wake up from a really, I want to say good dream. Okay, if I wake up from a dream that I want to go back to, I'll be like, okay, where was I? And then
there's a distinction there, Keisha. The dream I want to go back into, not necessarily a good dream. Is that one of the purple ones that you checked off? Let's analyze.
So, like, some of my dreams are so out there that I'm like, I kind of want to see where this is going. Like, what in the world? And then I'll, like, one of the dreams that I picked out was literally just me eating bugs with yellow legs. I like, why? Why was I eating a spider with yellow legs? And why did I buy an entire bag full of bugs that had yellow legs in order to like see which one I originally ate? Like, where was my brain at that
Has
moment?
The dream journal helped fill in some of these gaps?
Oh no, it's like nonsense.
Oh.
One of my dreams that I will read to you guys a couple dreams because like I just picked out a couple random ones that weren't too out there for the show, but I was like, what in the world is happening in my brain for me to go like, this is a thing your brain is thinking about? Like, how? Why did it get there? What transpired here? I still have no idea. Like I said, last night I had a dream about Jeffrey Dahmer, that I was kidnapped by Jeffrey Dahmer. Do I remember much of it else? No, because I slept at a hotel and I forgot to write down my dream. But like I was like, I haven't seen the series or anything like that. I have to watch the series now because my brain is like, that was interesting. Let's watch this. Um, is that a normal thing? No, it's not. But it's my brain, okay?
Now, did you particularly enjoy growing up, or now? Do you particularly enjoy true crime reading?
Um, so my kids make fun of me because my favorite things to read, like my favorite things to watch, are cleaning videos.
Okay, all right.
I love watching cleaning videos, okay? I will sit there for hours and watch people clean. Will I clean my own house? No. But I will watch people clean. Um, that being said, on the other hand, books, you want to know what my favorite books to read are? Textbooks.
Textbooks.
I
Okay.
find them extremely fun to read. I just got done reading a 578-page book on science.
I have somebody to introduce you to. He writes those. Boy, that'll put you to sleep.
Oh, I love it. I find that amazing. So I don't know where my brain comes up with the other stuff. Drew, you don't know this about me, but I actually write. I had published a book last year, and it is about kind of a stalker murdery type situation. It's super fun. There's blood.
Fiction, nonfiction.
Fliction.
Okay, all right.
Um, but so like I don't know, my brain just thinks of these weird things and then I write them down. So, somebody in the comments told me that I should just publish my dream journal.
that would
I'm sure you wouldn't be the first.
There is a very thin line there between some things that I dream about, like that are actually true. So, like if people were to read them, they would be like, what? Okay.
I mean, that window into our soul, we're telling those stories and our dreams. It's got to mean something, right, Willow?
I've tried looking up the meanings of some of my dreams, like especially that one where I'm pregnant at a bus stop. Apparently, that meant that I was taken on too much and I needed help.
Aww.
Like
my favorite
obviously-
recurring dream is all of my teeth falling out.
Right?
That seems to be common, but I've never had that dream.
I didn't have that dream after I got dental.
Oh,
I don't know why.
These are my natural teeth, and I've never had an issue with them. My dentist actually tells me all the time. He's like, Keisha, if everybody that I took care of their teeth, their teeth were like yours, I'd be out of business. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, that's why I have my husband, whose teeth are like falling out of his head as we speak.
Aw.
But I'm like, he's like, I refuse to get my wisdom teeth taken out. Hardcore refuse to get my wisdom teeth taken out. And every time he's like, I don't like those wisdom teeth. And I'm like, yeah, and he's like, but I can't complain because everything else is perfect. And I'm like, ha, sucker. We have an interesting relationship, okay? But yeah, no, I have constant dreams that my teeth are falling out. And I've never had issues with my teeth. So like I'll just be dreaming that I'll be sitting there and like tooth pop out. Or I'll be chewing on a piece of something and my tooth will fall out. I'm like, dude, no. And then I'll wake up and my teeth like physically hurt from said dream.
Maybe it's a clenching thing. Who knows?
do you have an unconscious fear of growing old and losing?
Oh no,
one's
I can't
faculty?
wait to grow old. I want to be that old lady that sits on her porch and get off my lawn. That's gonna be me. I don't have any neighbors, so I don't know who I'm gonna tell that to. But that is my dream. I want to be a little old lady in a muumuu, sitting on my front porch, gray hair, gained a good 50 pounds, and just yell at children.
I think that your dreams, I think they could come true.
You. I'm
I think you'll get what you want. So I think subconsciously you know how you're going to do it too. Have you picked your new neighbors yet?
I'll just yell at my chickens.
Oh, don't do that. Poor chickens.
They deserve it.
Yeah, you have a bad neighbor to your chickens. They don't need another.
That's true. I don't know what was going on with them the other day, but so we literally live in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden I just hear scratching at the outside of my front door as I'm sitting in the living room. And I'm like, what in the world? Why? And then I just hear scratching, and I was like, what is going on? I open the door and there's a chicken just sitting there like, hey. I'm like, why? So yeah, I'm cool with being a grouchy neighbor to my chickens. They made me get up on my comfy chair. Chicken Eddie. Oh, Chicken's Eddie. Actually, I say that, sorry, comments, ADHD, fun times. So I actually say that almost every time we pull in my drive. I'm like, look, it's Chickens, Eddie. It doesn't get old.
I have to watch the show apparently.
I'm kind of enjoying the show that is the comments. I love Dan's dream. I'm pretty sure there's a movie recently out about that. You know, what was it called? Do you guys know the movie that it sounds like? They go in and it just gets deeper and deeper. Berserker? Yeah, it sounds a lot like Berserker.
So he says, I have a recurring dream about finding a hidden room in my parents' house, and it winds up being larger than a hotel. Then to find my way back to the actual house. Okay, I've actually had dreams like that where, you know, somehow managed to, or maybe it was because I was working at the hotel at the time, that I was walking around, and no, it was not because I watched Doctor Who. Trying to go from one room to the next, and I couldn't find it. The rooms just kept moving. Yeah, it was pretty much the same as Doctor Who, but it was a totally different hotel. But yeah, it was just really weird. It was like it was walking around in a maze that never ended.
I associate changing rooms in real life and in dreams with almost like changing channels. People have a propensity when they pass through a doorway or an entry or an exit to kind of refresh the hard drive, and you will forget something actively that you were trying to keep in mind when you kind of refresh and like reevaluate the room that you're entering. So I mean, that's not a huge surprise. When you asked me to come on and talk about dream paralysis and whatnot,
I am curious about what your experiences are.
Well, the title of the show actually made me go back and read Boo Hag. I'm just like, apparently it goes back quite a while. People having that sort of experience.
It's not a new age thing. It's a hey.
No.
There's something about this.
I don't know about the business of being ridden around at night. We had a different folk tale in the. Part of my life, I grew up actually in a setting that's more like where you live, Keisha, and the rest of it is all urban. So while I was living rural, the story the farmers used to tell was of an old woman that if you were unfaithful, you'd get selected and she would ride you around at night. Yeah, but it was more of a literal interpretation rather than somebody visits you in your dreams and really likes to live there. Yeah. So but when it comes to the sleep paralysis thing, it was very young, like many versions of sleep trouble and whatnot. It comes down to age and maybe trauma. I don't know what I should say. Actually, I know things about Willow. My experience is I was adopted very young, and so I might have carried something with me. I usually only remember smells and snapshots from that period of time, but when I was living with my foster parents, my episode of sleep paralysis centered around basically just I thought I was waking up for no reason, and I realized that it was really quiet or almost staticky sounding, and I was very puzzled why I would suddenly be awake. And it was long enough that my eyes could adjust to the dark, and and I couldn't hear anything. And I realized that someone was, and this is a second story townhouse. I realized just over the lip of the stairwell where I could see, I realized somebody was coming up the stairs, and I couldn't move. And the anticipation of waiting for this figure filled me with utter dread. And then I truly got scared. I I was just peeking out of the blankets and fixated on the doorway of my room when the figure came in. This figure I had been dreading came in, and I don't know if it was my young mind. We can discuss where or what it actually was later. And I had a lot of time. I've had a lot of time to think about it. Uh, it was almost like a Bella Lugosi sort of figure,
Oh.
and it came right up to the side of my bed and looked down at me. And I
You're like,
was
bye.
sweating bullets. I was terrified. I couldn't move at all. The movement was not an option. I tried making noise, and a tiny scratch kind of came out of my mouth. And I waited for like the thing that was going to happen, and then it just kind of turned around and left. And I couldn't move yet, and I realized I could see that its head kind of disappear down the stairs. And it took me minutes to be able to move again. I could not, and I wasn't afraid it was going to come back, I don't think, in recollection. And then when the spell was broken, I shot out like a rocket down the hallway to my parents' room, and had a freak out. and my and both were there. Both were sound asleep and very, very confused. I know that I've had a couple other episodes, but I don't think anything was as drastic, as dramatic as that. Really, I think they had more to do with my windows in the room. But that room brought me nothing but bad memories, really.
Oh well.
Now,
See,
did either of you?
Go ahead, Keisha.
Yeah,
I
please.
was gonna
Sorry.
say, I've had a lot of different like I have lived all over the place in many different houses, and some houses you can definitely have a lot, like I feel things at different houses that I didn't feel. Like some houses, like this one, I pass out and I go to sleep just like it's nothing. But I've had houses that I live in before where like I feel like things are watching me in my sleep, and it just makes it very difficult to fall asleep. Or I feel like something's like um I'm not one of those people that are afraid of things, but like I'll sit there and I'll wake up and I'll be like, I'll look at my closet and be like, I feel like there's something in there watching me.
Oh,
and and those houses are where things get, like my dreams used to be crazy in those places. Like they used to get worse.
then
Um
then serial killers.
and
Then Jeffrey Dahmer.
I mean, serial killers don't really bother me. I'm talking about like the ones where somebody kills my dog or something. But like
Oh,
no, there
hey, that's
is.
a very real fear with country living,
Yeah.
man. Honestly,
I don't
you
even
never
have a
know.
dog,
Now,
but I don't have a dog now. I had a dog from the age of like 9 until a couple years ago when it passed away. I had it for a very long time. Um, it broke my heart when it died. But like I don't know, and I still have dreams about those houses that I felt uneasy in. Like one of them is my dad's house. I actually wrote down one of the he still lives there. But
Great.
let me see.
Poor dad still living there.
My dad, my stepmom, and my little brothers are still living there. Okay, so this one I had 2 years ago. It was a random dream. It's not super out there, but it's also like really weird. But this is one of the houses that I always felt weird in. It was my bedroom that I felt weird in. And it says I had a dream that I was at my dad's house and they were remodeling the kitchen and some other things in the house. I went up to my old bedroom and ended up finding it infested with hundreds of baby mice. I started picking them up with my hands like a normal person. I could feel their warm bodies. I took a handful downstairs to show my dad and family. I asked him what he wanted me to do with them. He took out a knife and cut into an old quilt. And I put the mice into it. I went to grab more from upstairs. I found a nest in the wall. Going upstairs, I started picking them all out. But then there was a snake in there as well. The snake looked at me and I grabbed it by the neck. It tried to bite me, but didn't get its teeth all the way in. So I was just walking around holding the snake, trying to figure out what to do with it. I also had another dream that night that I was at my dad's house and we were having a party. But we were outside in the front of the house. I smelled rain coming, so I started grabbing all the food and stuff and moving it under the awning. Once it started pouring rain, my stepmom, Amy, told me that for some reason we decided to get into her car to go around the house to pick up the rest of the stuff. She ended up backing into a rock in the yard, and she told me not to tell my dad that she did it again. And then I just randomly woke up. And I was like, what? Why was there baby mice in my room? Why was there a snake in my wall?
Did you have the two dreams consecutively, or did you wake, write the dream down, then
No.
go back to sleep and write the next?
Consecutively. So I remember several different dreams from each night. Like a lot of people generally only remember like one main dream. I've been journaling so long that I tend to remember more than one dream. So like it'll be like watching different movies in my head in different time periods, different people, different everything. But it's just those are some of the things that I dream about. And like I'm like I also have a reoccurring dream that I go into this house and I walk up to the second floor. And as I get up to the second floor and I'm walking around, all of the floorboards and stuff like that start breaking underneath me. And the house goes all cockeyed and like starts bending in, and the floor just like there's no way you could physically walk up there.
Yeah.
And like that one always freaks me out for some reason. I literally have dreams about murderers. They don't freak me out. But for some reason, going into that house and going up to the second floor and the floorboards deteriorating and going at an angle and stuff like that scares the crap out of me.
Was this before or after having kids?
Oh, this is a lifelong dream. Like I've had it several times since I was a kid.
Oh, a recurring dream. Oh, that's different.
But I'm always like, why? Why is that the thing that freaks me out?
Does it always start and end the same way, like, or is there stuff that happens like so something else is added to the dream each time you
generally
dream?
Like always a bright shiny new house with beautiful floors and just beautiful everything, and then the second that I go up to the upstairs or anything like that, everything just kind of starts deteriorating. Like,
Keisha, are you afraid of heights?
No.
Interesting.
So I don't know what it is, but I've always had that dream. I've also had a reoccurring dream with zombies in it, and I'm like, since I was literally a little kid, and me and my sister used to sleep on bunk beds. Like,
Mhm.
I have a reoccurring dream that I am on the top of my bunk bed fighting off zombies to protect my sister from the zombies.
Aw.
And then we climb out the window and we end up going into this area, and there's a barbed wire fence at the top of a fence. And like, I'm climbing this fence trying to save my sister, like, trying to beat up these zombies. That is also a reoccurring dream I've had since I was a little kid. And it's like, where does my brain come up with these? I don't know.
Are you scared of? Are you guys scared of the dark? I have to ask. A lot of people are not comfortable at
Do you
night.
not see where I am right now?
I'm not really afraid of the dark, but sometimes like it's nice to have a little nightlight just so that I don't step on my cat Midnight, who it just kind of blends into the night.
Is this now? Were you guys afraid of the dark as kids, though?
Yes, very
Okay,
much so.
me too. Me too.
I
You,
was not.
Keisha? No.
See, I've always been extremely weird, obviously, if you haven't noticed. But I've never been afraid of the dark. Like, I was always one of those weird kids that would mess with other kids that were afraid of the dark.
I hated
I
people
know.
like you.
It's honestly easier to be the predator than the prey, and if
I
if
screamed
that
at
role
everything.
if that role makes you more comfortable, then you're going to assume it and feel comfortable, right? Um,
See, like, my friends always used to be like, "I'm afraid of the dark," and I'd be like, "Why?" And I'd be like,
Excellent.
let's go take a midnight stroll. There's nothing creepy about it." And we would go out at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and just walk down the dark streets where there's no lights. And they'd be like, "I am scared," and I'd be like, "Look, there's nothing but beautiful sky up there. You're good." And like, it wasn't really trying to freak them out. It was just trying to prove to them that there's nothing to be afraid of in the dark. Does that make sense? Like, unless it was my little brother, then I 100% tried to scare the crap out of him.
But
Um,
I typically associate the sleep paralysis thing with a fear of the dark and whatnot. Did either of you have sleep paralysis as children or adults?
I don't recall having it as children, as a child, but I don't know. It's weird. Like I feel like I remember it more now as an adult, and it happens. It happens periodically. Like I
Oh,
have one at least every few months, and it's always something different. Like one that I
so you
do.
have a vision with yours.
Yeah,
Oh,
one I had, and I can't remember if it was a year or a couple months before my grandmother died, where I dreamt that she came into my room holding her chest, and I was trying to get up to help her, but I couldn't move and I couldn't say anything, and just like you, Drew, just like a very faint crackle of my voice just kind of went.
oh.
So yeah, and then like finally managed to get myself awake and realized, yeah, like my heart was pounding and just like
So you think you were experiencing it? You were experiencing paralysis during a dream, or did you think you were awake and this
I
was
was
happening?
awake. Like I
Okay.
felt like I like it was my room, and like it was every detail of my room, and
Okay.
my grandma coming in, and like
Huh.
yeah, I'm just it was weird.
It was like a
So
waking dream type thing.
yeah,
Okay. All right.
So I don't know if this happens to anybody. I know the first part happens to everybody because, like, I hear about it a lot. But falling off of something high and waking up,
hmm
like, that's
Oh,
generally what
damn.
happens to
That's
me.
cold. Yeah, I
Like,
imagine.
a lot
and
of people do dream about flying, but I'm like you. I dream
so
about
for
falling.
me, like, I'll just randomly jump off the side of a building in my dream and be like, "Wee!" But the second I hit the floor, I wake up, and that's when I
Uh,
can't move. Like, my body's like, "Hey, and my heart will be pounding and stuff like that.
gotta
Um,
respawn. Gotta respawn. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like, I have that, but I also I've told this story quite a few times on air during our like other shows. But waking up in the middle of the night and seeing a black orb floating above my head, and like I couldn't move or anything like that, and I just like was like, okay, what's going on? And it just kept getting bigger and closer, and like for some reason I thought it was a spider crawling down from the ceiling and getting closer to my face. So finally I was able to move, and I jumped up and flipped on the light, and there was nothing there by the time I was able to get up. And I was like,
by the time I was able to do something, nothing was there. Yeah, that's
Okay, so that is apparently a thing that people have actually dreams about black orbs is a metaphor for an inescapable death. This death may be a symbolic to an end to some situation, habit, or relationship in your life. You need to be more in tune to your thoughts and to your intuition. Your voice is not being heard. Your dream refers to someone that you might be might be liking. Do you have a crush on someone?
Hopefully, like I don't know. That was a dream I had like 10 years ago, I think. Huh. So I mean, apparently, if something happened, it probably already happened, and I just didn't notice. I mean, I've had a lot of weird deaths around me, though. So
I don't necessarily always look up dream interpretations, but sometimes it's fun to look it up and see like just.
I don't think it's. I think it's a personal connection to mortality around you, not an impersonal one. I spend. I'm a 25-year health. Yeah, it's almost. This is my 25th year in healthcare, and one of my duties is I have to spend time in the morgue. And you know that sort of thing doesn't really strike me as scary. It's when we feel it, really feel it. You know, Will, you were talking about your grandmother. You know, I mean I think that's when it really conflicts in our dreams. Now, I want to know about this Boo Hag. Now, what? Like, does somebody? I mean, like, where does it cross over with?
Some cultures, and it apparently is very common in South Carolina, where in the coastal plains and sea islands of South Carolina, there is a home to people of African heritage called Gula. The Gula people got their name from the Creole language that is spoken. The Gula culture that is which their own are extremely respected by other South Carolinians. Carolinians. With every culture, though, there is a legend. Part of Gula culture resides in legendary tale folklore, the legend of the Boo Hag. About the Boo Hag. The Boo Hag is said to look and sound just as creepy as the name gives off. The Gula people believe that the person possesses both a soul and spirit, and that the spirit of the person is good, then they will ascend into heaven. But if the spirit is bad, then it would linger on earth and become a Boo Hag. Boo Hag is said to be extremely dangerous. They say its essence can easily slip into the slightest cracks of your home and will do so while you are sleeping. When it arrives, you wouldn't have a single clue that it was there. Once inside your house, the Boo Hag will creep around your house until it finds you sleeping in your bed. After the Boo Hag has found you, it will sit on top of your chest and then proceed to suck all the air from your lungs. But as bad as that sounds, it's not the worst part. Once the Boo Hag has sucked your every life from your lungs, it will slip into your skin and use your body as a muse all through the night, leaving in the early morning. There are people who have said that if you wake up in the morning after you have been visited by the thing, you would not remember and you would feel a great amount of exhaustion. And that's it.
Oh my gosh, that thing cooks for me every night.
So yeah, there are times where I do wake up and I'm exhausted because like I'll go to sleep, or like I have trouble falling asleep, to be honest. And it's funny because my husband will argue with me. It's like, I hear you snoring before I fall asleep. I'm like, no, hon, you're snoring before I do.
Not true.
Nice. Wow, I can hear that.
Yep.
Yo,
We're in the next.
representing.
He's in the next. Like, we're kind of in the same room as each other. We're just like, yeah.
No sound barrier.
That's
I will
awesome.
eventually make an office. But yeah, no, I saw something up on here about yeah, where is it? Succubus. There we go. The Boo Hag sounds like a succubus. So yeah, that definitely is very much like a succubus.
So I wonder if that's where most of the stories of seeing a creepy lady standing at the side of or bottom of your bed comes from, because that seems to be a very common thing amongst people. Is they see something standing and staring at them from the bottom of their bed, and like, first of all, lady, that's creepy. But like it's so common that it's hard.
People
to
have drawn the thing over the years. People
Nice.
have painted images of
I like it.
Of the Boo Hag, and yeah, that's just an interpretation of it. But to me, I've never dreamt of other than my grandma, I've never dreamt of an old lady hanging on my chest or being in the room. Whenever I've experienced sleep paralysis, it was, yeah, like you drew, like the shadow figure and creeping up, or or the one that I recently had. It was like twin spooky dolls just like advancing into my living room, and I have the weirdest dreams when I nap on the couch.
Excellent couch surfing. I guess that means something else, but I had a friend who shared with me the dark specter visiting dream. And I tried to maybe it's and I had like a nice interpretation for it. And she was extremely clear that it was not there to do any favors or to impart any wisdom. It was completely malicious. So, I mean, when you know, you know. Actually, she died at 23. Now that I think of it, I mean, it was kind of prophetic in a way. It's kind of saddening. If I had the option, I would not want to know it was coming. That's tough. This Boo Hag thing, whether like literally riding you around the countryside for your transgressions or approaching. I have the one problem I have with these myths is free will. I honestly loathe horror movies and whatnot that pretend that the devil or whatever comes over and possesses you without you actually having invited it in. I think the invitation, I loathe. I think it's bad story writing when there's no invitation. You know, it just shows up and takes over. What's your take on possession or free will in regards to this?
I'm with you. Like, yeah, there's usually a reason why a spirit comes into a home, or like a demon comes into a home, and it's usually with an object, or the person's meddling in something that they shouldn't
or
be.
A stick.
What's that? What's that, Keisha?
I said, or a stick.
Yeah.
Walk softly and carry a haunted stick.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Her daughter. Did your daughter find it? Okay, so there's a story.
No. I went to a haunted spot in a cemetery and invited the spirit home with me in a stick from the barn where it hung itself.
Oh, okay. But still, even then, well, I guess no. Though it's true. A friend of mine saw the ring and broke the ring for me.
Oh.
He broke the ring for me. Oh no, wait. What are the two movies? There were two movies at the same time. One was The Ring. What was the other haunted, scary
Was it
Japanese
Grudge?
It
story?
was like
Grudge.
The Grudge. Yeah.
The Grudge. No. One of them was you visit the home, and then it follows you home. That one, my buddy's like, you know what? Uh, it's basically radiation poisoning. You visit the home and then you die. I mean, I was like, oh, that really breaks it down. So, I mean, going bad places has real bad. I don't know what's the word, Willow. Words escape me.
Words are
You
hard.
know, words are hard, Keisha. Yeah, it can end poorly.
Bad
Yeah.
juju.
Yeah, Carl's right. Actually, your kids in your camera are absolute phantasms, Keisha.
Thank you. Aren't they cute?
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of like Carl's thing here. Drain your sleep cycle while dreaming. Your brain shuts down your muscles so you don't hurt yourself. So if you wake up in the middle of a dream, often you can't move for a while, which is something that I figured that happens. And
But I'm with Keisha actually on this because I do a lot of conscious dreaming, and you know, like if it's too good, if I want to revisit that, if I don't like the way it played out,
You can
I'm putting myself back to sleep to like dive back in and revisit that. It's rare that it's cinematic. I'm not saying I haven't had a cinematic one, because they can be very entertaining in a cinematic sense. But I think that, but I don't remember any paralysis at the time. I'm more annoyed that I'm awake and you know what? I gotta get back to that. There's some questions there, man. I gotta have answered.
Does anybody else feel emotions so deeply when they're sleeping that it actually causes them to wake up extremely sad or happy? Because I've actually I am not a crier in my real life, but I have had dreams of me spending time with my grandma and stuff like that, where I wake up and I am like so happy / sad that it's over that I'm literally crying in my sleep. And it's like, well, can you not do this emotion thing? Okay.
I know I have had dreams where I woke up in intense anxiety. Not so much the whole crying bit, but yeah, my cat Athena actually wakes me up if I'm having nightmares because she feels
that's a friend.
She's my emotional support cat, and she's like pretty much the only one of my cats that do that. Or I'll feel her just kind of giving me the headbutt, and so yeah, it's interesting that that happens. And then
you get a cute cat waking you up. I get a karate chop.
Oh,
co-sleeping with kids is fun.
Oh no!
Wow, that'll wake you up. I've ruined this for myself. I do too much. The emotional aspect, I think, is gone. Much with the fear of the dark being gone. It's more of a tool of self-analysis and entertainment, and you don't get good sleep conscious dreaming. You're too awake.
Is that why I'm always tired?
I would believe it. Your brain has to rest at some point. You can't juggle your thoughts all day and night.
That's why my dreams get so weird. Is like my dreams are like, dude,
delirium.
You're cray cray right now.
Are your dreams worse while being pregnant, or is it about the same?
They have been more prevalent lately, as more memorable. So like recently they've been getting a little bit more intense, just because I think the hormone changes and everything like that, which is actually really normal for pregnancy. But I also tend to have really weird dreams just in general. Uh,
So your proclivity to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but for me, like, if you guys, unless you guys have some more stories, I've got a couple dreams lined up that I was like, you know what, this one's not too shabby. I'll
Well,
read this one.
I'll ask Drew. Like, do you still have reoccurring dreams from when you were a kid?
No,
No.
I had reoccurring dreams, but a lot of the stuff I've rationalized away, and I don't know. I guess it's a sign of maturity, but I don't know if it's right. Memory is so easily modified. The more you play with a memory, the less accurate it is. It's like the fidelity on
That's
a
why
record.
I journal.
That's why you journal.
Because I can dream something or do something and remember it completely different the next time that I remember it. So I find that with journaling it, like, that's what my memory was at that exact moment. I keep a daily journal as well because I have the memory of a goldfish.
Me too.
I can't remember things to save my life. I found that out the hard way. But
You live in a house with a lot of doors.
I do actually. I have a 6-bedroom farmhouse, and on top of the 6 bedroom, it's got a bunch of but no. So like, I just can't remember things to save my life. So I keep a daily journal of everything that I do, and I keep a dream journal of everything I do because just so that I have peace of mind of what my actual thought process was at the moment. Because I know that the second time I tell that thing without actually having the, hey, this is what happened in it, or this is what happened, my brain can think of it in a different light, with like different emotions, different feelings, that kind of thing. So that's why I journal it all. Because if I were to tell you guys one of my dreams that I had and not have written it down, I would completely tell it wrong the next time. Just because it does kind of evolve in your brain every time you tell.
That's memory. Yeah, the fluid nature of memory. I used to chronicle events and like rate them. When back when I did live role playing, because for a number of reasons, I remember finding my book and going through the legend, like, oh, this worked and this worked, and wow, have I ever convinced myself that this, suddenly I realized I was remembering it wrong. Clearly in my own handwriting, it was a completely different thing. And I think we handle guilt that way. You have to move on in order to process emotion, and to actually get beyond those things that weigh us down. And I think our dreams help us with that. Yeah. If you reread your journals, Keisha, I'd be curious to see if like if you could tell a person has grown up by the quality or the length or the
So I have
vibrancy.
been journaling since I was old enough to write in a journal. Like, I'm not even kidding. I have stacks of
Wow.
journals just from my whole life, and I'll sit there and I'll read back like one of the journals from when like I was 10, when I was 16, when I was this, and I'm like, oh, thank God I changed. Like, why was that ever me?
That guy was an asshole. I mean,
I was
Have you guys
rereading one of my
always
journals.
have you guys always been vivid dreamers, or is it just something that has
I have.
the more life experience I got, the more I realized those experiences were coming into my dreams. I'm going to share something that I've never really told anybody, and it's kind of sketchy. Okay, so dream wise, I realized as a young man that I could not make up anything that I hadn't experienced. So
Oh, I
one
really
night,
hope that is not the process for me, because
one night, conscious dreaming, I thought, wow, you know what? I wonder if I could interact with somebody that I was infatuated with. And I discovered that I could not.
I
And
definitely.
that was in junior high. That was grade 7, grade 8, very immature person. And and when you mentioned flying earlier, Willow, when I first started conscious dreaming and attempted such a thing, I was like, I'm here. I can do whatever I want. I realized that I didn't really have a way to understand how that would feel in a dream. And the only sort of anagram to flying that I had experienced was in a pool sitting on a beach ball. And I
Oh.
realized the only way that I could fly across the ravine to the other side of the North Saskatchewan River was by sitting on essentially a 2-liter pop bottle and floating across. Ridiculous dream, but you make do. Later on, I joined Air Cadets and had a lot more life experience, and I could imagine a more Marvel cinematic version. And so you really do feed your dreams with your experiences. If you want more interesting dreams, you got to feed that sucker. You got to go out and do things in your active life. And I have a feeling that
my
Keisha's
my
dreams,
dreams are so crazy. Is I've
you
just had
know,
a crazy life, and my dreams are like,
I imagine,
oh, here's the thing.
go do the thing. Yeah. Not the serial killer thing though, Keisha. Stay away. Don't do it.
Now I know that you play D&D, Drew, and
I DM and play. Yeah.
do you happen to have does your dreams influence your gameplay, or does your gameplay influence your dreams?
Um, I have to say that usually my good ideas come from actually working things out in the conscious moment, not in my dreams. If they come back, sometimes it'll be a regret. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
it's as I said, I don't cinematically dream. I actually use music for that. I will sit there and I will listen to music, and I will create a cinematic imagery for myself to kind of scratch that itch. You can really buoy your self-esteem that way. Go ahead, Keisha. I'm
I'm
sorry.
actually like the opposite. So
Oh.
like I love, like I said earlier, I write, and a lot of the times what I write is things that I dream about. And it's like things that you're like, "Oh, that I don't think that would have come to me during my waking hours." Like no matter
Mm.
how long I sat there and went. So, I have a book. I never did anything with it, so I'm not worried about saying it on air or anything. But I had a book that I was in the process of kind of like jotting down, and it was based off of a dream I had where life was the opposite. So, like, you were actually being alive meant being a zombie, basically. But when you died, you turned into a human, and the zombies would consume you, and then you would actually perish if you did not fight to stay in the live state. Does like um so imagine you're living in a world and zombie is the norm, okay?
Yeah.
But you die as a zombie and you come back as a human. Like your human live form is how you die. Um but then since you're a human, the zombies actually eat you and feast on you, and then that's how you actually perish in the long run. And like I was writing a huge like backstory and everything like that to it, and you were actually afraid of living. Like zombie was the norm, and people were afraid of being alive because being alive meant being hunted.
I see a theme now. Yeah. I see a
And
theme now, and they're just trying to drag you down once you make it.
so, like, I had a whole storyline going with that, and I was like, my brain wouldn't think of that if I was like awake. So
Fear
I
of
generally
success, maybe.
DJ Keisha drifting off, mixing up a story.
So I don't know. I had a whole like it was years ago, so I can't remember quite what the whole process was. But yeah, basically dying meant living, and then living meant actually perishing. It was a weird thing. But when you died as a zombie, you would actually kind of be reborn as like the age you were at the time you died as a zombie is what you would be when you came back as a human alive.
There's a parable here for the sleep sort of topic. It's just like you go to sleep, you dream, you finally wake up, and it's all gone. Back to your zombie job.
Darn.
Yep.
Y'all, it's been an hour. There's a lot of
has.
stuff we could talk about with
We're
dreams,
definitely gonna have
though.
to have you on again, Drew, because your knowledge is vast, and I want to pick your brain some more.
I'm,
As long as you don't
I'm
mind.
old inside. I've always been an old soul. I think fear does that to you. Childhood fear, nightmares, sleep paralysis.
Good times. Good times.
Right? Oh my
I
gosh.
like it. I'm enjoying it.
It's really sad, but I'm glad that we were able to connect on something.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you. I usually I'm talking about game stuff. This is a coffee clutch stuff here, and your audience has been so interesting. Like, I'm just like, don't interrupt.
We have a ton of comments. I always have my ADHD moments where I look over at the comments and I'm like, ha ha ha, and then I'm like, oh guys, there's a comment. I'm not just talking to myself. I promise.
I was watching the comments, and you were talking about one of your horrible dreams, and I looked at the comments, and I saw something. I'm like, don't smile. You're a creep if you smile at this portion.
I do that all the time. We'll be talking about something way out there, and I'll just be like, and then I'll be like, guys, it was about the comment, not about the other thing. I promise.
Eli and I think, have the same brainwave, because I have weird Twin Peaks kind of dreams too. So
I just want to address Dan's comment real quick.
What?
Said
which
Willow
one?
wants to pick your brain, but Keisha wants to eat it. Nom nom nom.
Wow. Brains are not that good, let me assure you. It takes the movies have it completely wrong. I mean, not the taste. I mean, the texture, not the taste. I couldn't tell you about the taste. Can't take head cheese. Okay. Not a head cheese fan.
I've actually touched a brain before. Thanks,
Me
science.
too.
Oh, interesting.
It's really
weird. It was an accident. It was terrible.
Mine was it was a cadaver brain, obviously, duh. But they brought it into school, and we got to kind of, Why?
Now,
why
okay, so a cadaver brain is different, though. If it doesn't come out fresh out of the head,
it was not fresh.
See, we preserve them in an ice cream pail. When we have a brain like that, they come out really, really squishy, more like frog's eggs. You have to be really careful. So what we used to do is we'd take 2 strings, like kite strings, that material. We'd suspend them over the bucket in formalin or formaldehyde, and we'd suspend the brain in the bucket, and you close the lid on the strings so the strings don't move, and we leave them for a month or two to solidify because you can't actually slice a brain in that frog's egg sort of state.
Okay, so real quick question though, because the one obviously that we got to interact with was the hardened state.
That's post to formalin and formaldehyde.
Like my brain was always my brain. My brain always wondered if, since
Oh,
it basically looks like intestines, if you were to pick it up, would it like come apart like intestines? This
you
is a
know,
weird conversation to
okay, it's just on how it's just on how it's extracted. If there's an injury on the head or not.
Mm.
When a skull, like if you've ever seen a bone saw or something, it does. Have you ever had a cast removed?
Yeah,
Have you seen a cast removal tool with a half disc with the teeth?
Yeah.
it looks
You know,
awful and it's horrible watching it happen. But
but
yes,
are we talking the cast tool? The cast
yeah,
tool is fine. You can actually take a cast tool against your
I
flesh.
was so
It won't hurt you.
I
But a
know, but
bone
I was
saw
so
is
afraid of it.
similar but cuts. And we try not to. Yeah. So I
Interesting.
mean, strictly speaking, somebody actually knew what they were doing if you actually got it in one piece, because it will break apart very easily,
It was actually
much like.
cut pretty much down the center so that you could see all of the different parts because that
Oh,
was what we
okay,
were
okay,
studying.
yeah.
Obviously,
Hmm.
I don't think it was a human brain. I think it was like an animal of some sort. I'm not 100% sure because we were studying human anatomy and parts and everything like that. So
It may have been a cow or a pig.
Yeah.
I didn't ask questions. I was one of those people where like I didn't even want to dissect the worm in science class.
Well,
So
how big was it? Well, hold a fist up. Was it bigger than your fist? I mean, that's a huge brain. You know,
Hmm.
that's. It sounds big enough that unless you're a really tiny person, I can't tell from the camera, but unless you're a really tiny person, that's likely a human brain.
Hmm.
okay.
You know,
Because we
but
also went to like during one of the things that we did, we also went to a college campus as well. So that's also like because it was in high school
Hmm.
that we got to,
okay, I don't think you were dealing with human
but it
anatomy
was
in high school.
through a college. So it's like
Was it Bio 30? Like a field trip in Bio 30?
I can't remember. It was like I was really into science and we took like a trip to the college to go
Oh,
through.
you're American. I have no idea. I can only share the Canadian experience with you.
Yeah.
I mean, for all
Oh
I
yeah,
know, it's
you
real
guys are
down
from
there,
Canada.
man. They don't coddle those kids, you know.
No,
Yeah.
they do some weird things down here, guys. Like we had a real life skeleton in our class.
I don't know who Calvin is, but hi Calvin.
I don't know. Um.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Calvin
Yes,
is one of
Calvin
their
is the cat.
cats.
So,
Aw.
but yeah, our classroom, one of the classrooms. I went to 10 different high schools though, from all over the.
Wow, that'll mess you up.
That's crazy.
But one of the
That's not good.
classrooms did have an actual human skeleton in it.
That's very common. They're way cheaper than fabricated ones, or at least they used to be. 3D printing is an amazing thing.
Our teacher explained to us the entire like this girl was this age and she was this and she was this and her body was obviously donated for scientific purposes. And so that's why the skeleton was allowed to be the way it was.
There's a lot of paperwork in the medical supply industry regarding where things are sourced. You can get bone and whatnot, and a sketchy place from a non-sketchy place by the specificity of the paperwork with it. I'm happy to hear that. The best episode of The Walking Dead was that first season where they cover themselves with gore and they take his wallet out of his pocket and read out his name and thank him. It's the closest thing to that paperwork I've actually seen on TV drama to the real life thing where your teacher was explaining a skeleton to you. Human dignity is so fleeting in the medical field that I'm really encouraged to actually hear that, Keisha.
That was actually one of my favorite teachers, and he was my biology teacher. And I absolutely loved him. He had really bad cancer, and he was dying. But he's actually, side note, random off the topic. We're always off the topic, guys. But he's actually the one that got me to start donating blood and plasma because he needed so many transfusions and stuff like that going through chemo. Like one day he came to the front of the classroom and he held up a got blood shirt and he was like, whoever promises me that when they are old enough to donate blood and plasma, etc., I will give you this shirt. And I was like, I'll do it as soon as I possibly can. And I did. But he ended up passing away he did not want to give up teaching. That was his entire life. He was one of those cranky old teachers that everybody thought was too harsh. But he was the biggest softie on the planet. I wasn't a huge fan of going home when I was younger for many reasons. And he would let me stay in his class after school and just kind of hang out with him, do my homework, whatever I wanted, just so that I could have some place to go. But I remember him most of that year, he slept in the back of the classroom because the cancer and chemo had gotten so bad.
Chemo will do that.
He didn't want to give up on his, like he had colostomy bags and stuff like that he wore to school every day because he just, things stopped functioning, but he never gave up on his students. And so he's the reason I love science so much and I love reading textbooks and stuff like that is because he had such a deep connection with all of the things that he taught.
What was his name? What was your teacher's name?
Mr. Heth.
Mr. Heth.
So he was a biology teacher in Putnam County, Illinois. But he was seriously one of the best people everybody always thought he was just cranky old man, but he was one of the best people. And the reason I think people didn't like him is because he cared about you learning. Like he would be like, pay attention, you need to know this stuff kind of person. And he didn't like people slacking off in his class. Like he wanted them to actually learn in his class. And I think that's why a lot of people weren't really okay with it. But for me, I was like, it is ingrained in my brain to where I'm like, I learned this specific thing from him.
Well, we get qualities from our teachers, particularly at those formative years. You were ready for the message, and he knew how to convey it. I mean, I'm glad he reached out and touched you. Pour one out for Mr. Heath, honestly.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you don't mention him enough, but he's there often in your thoughts.
He did pass away right after we left that year during the summer. So, I was the last class he got to teach, which is unfortunate, but he still lingers around, and that's...
F cancer, man. F cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a second, so that's been 20 years almost since...
Did you ever find him? You know what? When you asked me earlier about intense feelings coming out of dreams, you know what? There have been a couple times, actually, where the intense feelings actually came from a visitation from someone. Have you ever? Has he made an appearance in your dreams, Keisha?
You know what? Not that I can think of. Most of my intense dreams that I come with that much emotion are ones of my grandmother. Because my grandma was basically my entire life. I did live with my parents, but for on and off throughout my childhood. But my grandma was the one constant that raised me and stuff like that. So the emotions behind her, being able to visit her in my dreams and feel like she's actually there, because when you do consciously dream, it feels like you are right there. You can
yes and no.
For me, I can feel like if I'm hugging my grandma, I can actually feel that.
See, the more you grasp the reins, the more you wake, and you will wake yourself up. Conscious dreaming, it's a plateau. You kind of have to. It's like surfing. You have to stay at a certain point. If you go too deep, you will fall out. What's that?
Generally, if I get too deep in it, that's when I wake up crying.
Aw.
But
That's
it's
intense.
always nice because like I will wake up and I'll be like, it feels nice to get to spend that time with her, if that makes sense.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Even
yeah.
if it is just in a dream.
Uh, my father-in-law passed away, and I remember telling my wife upon waking, in the last year, I think, that he had come for a visit, and I mean, I don't, I, at what point is it conscious dreaming, and what point is it a really good dream? I try not to consciously. It's funny, being aware and conscious dreaming um, are important. In conscious dreams, you are aware, but um, it's being able to course correct subtly that keeps you in that state. Uh, uh, do you think that you conscious dream with a purpose, or are you just surfing the waves?
Sometimes it depends on like sometimes I have
Ride the wave, Dan.
vivid dreams about whether like things that I have to figure out in my real day-to-day life. Like I will dream about them and like make decisions in my brain throughout sleep when, I should be like dead asleep, but instead I'm sitting there making decisions in my head or thinking about things that I have to do. My brain will actually play off of that. But then sometimes like I just get those random crazy what in the world dreams.
Excellent. Those are a gift, honestly. Those are a gift. I kid you not. If you conscious, once you figure out, okay, I'll tell you a little story. Once you've, when I realized I could conscious dream in grades around 7 and 8, in grades 7 and 8, a young Drew having the time of his life dreaming. Fantastic. Hey, it's a place where social norms don't hold you down, and you can actually you can explore. Like exploring an old house. And so in high school, Buddy gets a car. You guys are cruising around. You're playing games till late hours. One night, Buddy is dropping us off. I'm in the back of his Trans Am, and we're just heading back, and we're having a conversation, shooting the breeze, waiting for somebody to come to the vehicle and stuff us further into the back of the Trans Am. And what ends up happening is we end up in a conversation much like the three of us are having with the audience here. And I realize that not a single person in the car can conscious dream. So I'm like, conscious dreaming is wonderful. You should conscious dream. Here's how I do it. And I spelled the whole thing out. Exactly how I maintain, I get to sleep, how I manage to kind of wake up without waking up and go through it. And it took me about 5 years to be able to conscious dream after that. I dispelled the mystery. I absolutely eroded my ability to conscious dream by painstakingly putting it on the table and just almost analyzing it.
So
And
I find that with analyzing my dreams, I actually remember them more. So like if I'm not consciously trying to keep a dream journal or think about my dreams, I don't remember them. But if I go, I'm going to remember my dream tomorrow, and I will actually remember it the next day. Like I have to consciously think, or during a dream, I'll be like, I want to remember this dream in the morning.
So dreams are a gift. They're a gift. They really are, and you should enjoy them. Conscious dreaming and dreaming are two separate things. You want to keep the mystery. The mystery is really important. It has to still be a dream. If you're tinkering with it too much, it falls apart. You wake up, or you
just let it happen the way it's supposed to happen. Like if there's a dream that's freaking me out a little bit too much, I will try to change the course to be like, a little
Aw.
bit on the happier side so that I don't wake up in a, oh, what, it just happened mode.
That's fine because I usually tune it in the opposite direction. It's like, this is boring. It needs some spice.
Let's spice this up. But what were you going to say, Willow?
I was just gonna say, like, my dreams fall apart regardless of, like, if I feel like it, like, when I try to make sense of them, like, so, like, especially when it comes to conversations, it's just like, the more I try to understand the dream, the more it just kind of like falls apart. I'm just like, yeah, this dream doesn't make sense.
Oh, I mean, are you? Yeah, but are you talking in the moment? You have that brief awareness that you're having a bad dream, and you're just like, "What is going on?" Or are we talking? I woke up. I'm trying to remember that dream, and
I
the
woke
stuff
up
that I
and-
remember doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense at all.
Yeah.
That's why I love writing down exactly what it is when I wake up, because I will reread that. Like, I type it on my phone because it's just the simplest way that I can do it without losing all of what I just dreamed. And there's times where I'm like, I was flying a monkey, and then there was a unicorn with a water bottle for its horn, and then it caught on fire, and it was picture day at school.
Mm.
And like,
I'm suddenly wanting to look at my wife's dream journal. I'm just like, is it right there? I'm like, I'm gonna have to ask her after this.
and then I reread it later, and I'm like, okay.
Is this like when somebody was telling me about doing mushrooms and doing a drawing and being so proud, or maybe it was a meme online, being so proud, and then looking at the picture the next day, and it's just like, it's total dreck.
Oh,
Is it like that?
I've never done mushrooms, surprisingly.
Mhm.
No, but like, I
For
yeah,
us, it would
that's,
just be
I imagine that's what it feels like. It
Yeah,
feels
right?
for
What
those
in
of
the
us who
world?
have ADD or ADHD, I think we would fall asleep.
Maybe. I abstain completely. Caffeine is a wild enough ride. And I have such bad self control. Like, there's no way I would be good with illicit substances. I stay far away. Ice cream is my vice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have. I'm
So-
sorry, Keisha. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay, Willow. If you've got something else to say, because I was going to bring something up real quick before we end the show.
Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
So, guys, do you know what next weekend is?
Mm.
Willow?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm glad that you brought this up. We are. I'm gonna try to find a better picture, but yes, that is all the celebrities that we're gonna be interviewing next week.
Wow, is that Armin?
Yes.
Dude!
I am super excited for that because, I've just finished watching Deep Space Nine. And so
I've been rewatching every because I get to interview Cress Williams, and I've been rewatching. He's on one of my favorite series, which is called The Heart of Dixie, and I've been rewatching that and all of his other movies and stuff like that he is on, and my brain has been like, I'm so excited to just be able to talk to him and discuss things with him. It's just awesome. And did you guys see who else is on there? I'm also excited that the aunt from Sabrina the Teenage Witch is going to be on there.
Yes.
Wow, really? Which one?
So bring up the thingy again.
We are gonna have to change that picture.
Is it Zelda?
Yeah, the Aunt Zelda,
Aunt Zelda.
Oh, okay, all right.
Beth Broderick.
But yes, we get to
Oh, I see her.
her. And then Amy Carrero is on here, which she is also on one of the series that I like. And then Victor Garber. Like, all of these people are just wonderful.
Victor Garber is great. He has such a huge catalog. That guy, man, I want to see him as a villain more,
Yes.
He's such a good guy as a good guy.
Us talk to all of these people. Like, imagine our ADHD with these famous people. I can't wait. I love it. Last year, I got to interview. Do you know the mom from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody?
I do.
No. I remember them. I remember the cruise ship. I remember the neighbors, not the mom.
She was also the cop on Supernatural.
Oh, okay.
So I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now. And I'm the one that interviewed her. This is how it went. She also has some ADHD qualities as well. So when her and I started talking, we talked about crows and birds for not even joking a half an hour. It was beautiful. But yes, this year we get to interview a bunch of new people, and it's gonna be fun.
That's amazing.
Do we have the actual video to play on?
I'm fairly certain we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is a virtual fandom jamboree and a charity fundraiser all rolled into one package. We're not just raising funds for a good cause, we're raising fun. Our 2023 event will be supporting the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health, which exists to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Our fundraiser combines celebrity panels, fandom-based panels, indie creators, and all of the fun of a virtual con for free. There's a little something for everyone while we support a cause close to our heart. Join us on January 20th through 22nd, along with celebrity guests Amy Yazbek, Jason Bear, Chris Gaucher, Victor Garber, William Catt, Cress Williams, Beth Broderick, Armin Shimmerman, Guy Gilchrist, Carrie Schaefer, Brian Hull, Amy Carrero, Jennifer Cody, and Joyce DeWitt.
Wow.
And there is our schedule for the 3 days.
This is Eastern Standard Time, but for those of you not on Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing our Cryptid Crunch episode. What time is that?
It says 10 a.m. I swear the schedule that they gave us said a totally different time.
Just make sure you're not in there twice. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what is that? 8?
It'll be
or not.
So 10 a.m. Eastern. It'll be 9 a.m. for those of us on Central.
9 a.m. Okay. Wow.
So, but I'm also on several other. I'll be doing the indie author. I'll be doing Cress Williams. Who else am I doing? Carrie Schaefer. Maybe some other stuff. I don't know. I have a very busy week next week because I also have a reception for the gallery that my art is up in right now.
Oh,
nice.
So, like, I'm going to be doing lives and stuff like that for this all day. And then that night, I'm going to the reception for my art show. And I'm like,
What's your medium, Keisha?
I paint for the most part.
What kind? Oil, acrylic?
Oil, acrylic, and water.
Okay.
So, but yes, it's always fun.
Nice.
Let me see. I actually have, I think, one of my paintings right here.
She's fishing. What about you, Willow? What are you doing next weekend? Are you doing any of the... Wow. That's gnarly.
It's not always super creepy, though.
I'll be modding some of the panels for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Just this cutie. I feel like this describes my life.
Yeah. And the other one describes your parenting style, right?
Something like that.
Okay.
No,
I hope so.
This one describes my parenting style.
No, don't say that.
You haven't had enough experience with my daughter She made herself a coffin to play in. So
Oh, no.
I'm sure she gets that from your husband.
no, he's pretty
Not
normal.
you. Not you. Not at all.
But
And
yes.
with that, I thank you, Drew, for joining us.
My pleasure, Willow.
Thanks for sticking around. Okay, so if you love our shows, contribute at buymeacoffee.com cereal box pod. Sorry, I can't read. If you hate our shows, contribute generously so we can make improvements for you at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. Thank you everyone for joining us for Cryptid Crunch, and we hope that you have a wonderful week. See you around.
Bye.
See you next